Hey guys, welcome back. Another video. Hope everyone's doing really well. Let's get stuck into it. So, I want to sort of talk about a label that I'm really digging at the moment. A label that I have been aware of for a couple of years, but I haven't really got into for whatever reason. And yeah, I guess these couple of weeks, the music's really connected with me, and I think it's completely worth sharing and sort of doing a video. You know, the music's just worthy of its own video, really. Label's called Sarang Bang Records, and it's been going since I think as early as 1997. And the label's based in Auckland, New Zealand, and ran by Gianmarco Liguri. And yeah, they've been putting out a mixture of CDs and records. Even as far as end of last year, they put out a record. So yeah, I just want to talk about this label, and it's so deserved because the people that play on these records and what the label is doing, I think is just so, you know, the players are absolutely, you know, revered in New Zealand, and the stuff that the label is doing is so important to New Zealand music, and especially New Zealand jazz specifically. Now, I say jazz, but the label covers everything from, yeah, you know, early post-bop stuff to like space jazz and fusion and almost jazz rock, and then, you know, even bits of ambient electronic mixed in. So you know, this label has a massive spectrum of what's going on in New Zealand music and what has gone on in terms of releasing records I'll show you in a bit that are like documents of New Zealand music. And I guess why I really respect this label, and I think what they're doing is so important to New Zealand, is I suppose because we're such a small country here, and within that small population there's an even smaller amount of people that are into jazz or into music, or even just preserving music. You know, music gets lost here so quickly, just because, you know, there's a lot less people interested, or a lot less people willing to archive or compile or save this knowledge. You know, so things get lost a lot easier than probably in bigger countries where there's a lot more people interested in it. So yeah, I mean, some of the stuff they put out is, without a doubt, if this stuff wasn't put out, you wouldn't know what it was, or it would just drop off the radar completely, which is a massive shame. So, you know, on that note, I think it's a super important label to New Zealand, and it's a current label that I want people to get out there and support. And yeah, you get what I'm trying to say. So yeah, let's get into the records. I'm going to start. What I've done is I've pulled out the records themselves from the label, and I've pulled out some records that are, I suppose, I can hear influences of, to give you a bit of a touchstone. And I'm going to try to do some needle drops in the video. We'll see how that goes, because I know last time I did needle drops, my videos got ads on them, and for some reason they were blocked in the UK. I don't know why that is, but hopefully, this being New Zealand music, that won't be an issue. Now, what I'll do is I'll start with the big one that's been talked about by me probably too many times, and Roger's talked about this record, and I think the VC through both of our videos and posts on Facebook. I think this is now sold out. Just came out, I think it was 2012 or 13, Dugus 3, featuring Gianmarco Liguri, Murray McNab and Kim Patterson. Now these two names here, Kim Patterson and Murray McNab, I'll talk about further down in this video, but yeah, absolutely two legends of New Zealand music. So this is a wonderful record. I've said it before, but I absolutely hear Miles Davis, and when I say Miles Davis, I mean Electric Miles, and I specifically mean like this record here, Pangea. I just hear the absolute spacey, funky, not sludgy, but it's just got this really like roundness to it. It's like a bubbling, thick, liquid, jazzy. Yeah, I hear bits of that in here. In terms of like Kim Patterson's playing, I hear the space, almost like the same sense of space that Miles gets, but a bit more like twisty. Yeah, it's very hard to describe, but it's a fucking wonderful record. And for me, this is, I mean, the testament to this is the fact that Roger and I talked about this record, and people bought this record, and the VC appreciated it, and it you know, it's done fantastically well to get it out there, you know, which is a testament to the music that you know. And I was blown away that people actually listened to what we said and bought the record. You know, it was very cool to see music from New Zealand, especially jazz, getting a really, you know, wide recognition. People that don't even make videos bought this record on the strength of it, and yeah, there may be copies left. You'll have to speak to Gianmarco. Now, you can check out the Bandcamp, I think, Sarang Bang Records, and he's now also in the Vinyl Champions Facebook group, so you can chat to him on there, and he may have copies left. But yeah, wow. I also hear bits of, I've talked about Helden before. I don't even know if these musicians are aware of Helden. They probably are, or at least should be. Sadly, I think Kim Patterson is still around, but McNab passed away now. He passed away in 2013. But I can hear bits of Helden in here as well. You know, if that's not a combination, I can hear that sort of gurgling analog synthesizers in here. The sense of music building up and dropping away, and the rhythm behind it. Yeah, it's that Dugus 3 record is fantastic, and to me it's a world class record basically, no matter where it comes from. Yeah, fingers crossed there's still copies left, because it did come out obviously a while ago, and it did have a bit of a buzz a couple of years ago through the VC. But yeah, that's probably the one that you're most likely to know. I wonder what order I should do this in. Tell you what, I might do a bit of a needle drop on that, and then we'll move on to the next one. So for the next record, we're going to go back all the way to 1966. This album's called 1966, obviously by Bernie McGann. This is a compilation featuring there's 3 tracks on side 1 and 2 on side 2. It's a compilation of live stuff. Basically, I think was it side 2 was found on an old tape that was sort of decaying, and it got restored and put out. This is an absolute document in terms of capturing really early Kim Patterson here, the trumpet player, who absolutely shines on this record. Bernie McGann is a Australian alto sax player that I think played a lot around the King's Cross scene in Sydney. And then he came over to New Zealand and played briefly. I think he went over to the UK maybe before that. This is really good. I guess it's like post-bop. People are saying they can hear early Coltrane in here, but I hear more like Ornette Coleman. I hear more of a sharpness to it, I suppose, or just a blah, blah, blah. You know how Ornette Coleman is, I don't know, a bit more, I guess, twisty or something like that. Really interesting, and the live recording, although it doesn't sound amazing, it has a really nice room presence and a real atmosphere to it. So this is obviously, it's a mono record. It's an archive record, so it never came out in any original format. This is how you can get it. It's really cool. It comes in a really thick sleeve. I mean, these guys do a fantastic job in terms of compiling bits about the label, and I mean, bits about the record and the story behind it. But yeah, for me, I'm not being biased here because you know the rest of the guys being, apart from the drummer, which I get to in a moment, you know, the best part in here is the trumpet playing by Kim Patterson, which is really wonderful. And once you lock into what he's playing, the record just flies by like that. It's amazing. Yeah, speaking of the drummer, Jean-Marco was telling me that George Neidolf, whose name is on the bottom here, I think this is the only recorded or piece of recorded music with him on it. And apparently, Robert Wyatt was a massive fan of George and influenced him a bit. So I imagine around that time this would have been, you know, I suppose a Soft Machine, before they were called Soft Machine, were in a early, like a jazz trio, and they played a lot around London. So I wouldn't have been surprised if Robert Wyatt would have seen George there around that really early. I've forgotten what Soft Machine were called when they were a trio before Soft Machine. Maybe they were called Soft Machine. I don't think they were called Soft Machine. Anyway, yeah, a big influence on Robert Wyatt. And speaking of Robert Wyatt, as we get into the next one, we'll skip forward to 2017. I can hear bits of Robert Wyatt in this record. This is Instant Compositions by Salim Kingsador. Absolutely wonderful new release from last year. Again, this is like, take that Dugus 3, but add this beautiful piano playing, droney bits, cosmic jazz, and there's just so much movement in this record and things going on and things flying in and flying out. Yeah, we've got synthesizers, electronics, guitars, vibraphones, this floaty trumpet thing that flies around. It's really wonderful. This only came out in an edition of, I want to say something like 200, and each cover is handmade and completely unique. I'm pretty sure you can still get these. I'll do a needle drop as well. Really wonderful, but yeah, again, I can hear elements of Miles Davis. I can hear elements of, like, you know, it sounds weird, but I was just talking on one of the Facebook pages about a Julian Priester record called Love Love, which I'd never heard before, and Jean-Marco said to me it's one of his favourite ECM records, and I was listening to it just last night through Spotify, and I could hear bits of it in this music, and that record blew me away. I was like, I don't know that record, first time I've heard it, so I hear bits of that. I don't know, it's like this cosmic space journey in a live setting with like a lot of punch to it. Yeah, the labels are homemade. This is really good. I almost prefer it to Dugus 3. They're different records, I can't really compare them, because yeah, this one just has this really nice, robust, I don't know, thing to it. It's really beautiful and really unique for what it is. Yeah, if you can tell me something that's around now that's like this, please do, because yeah, I think this is a killer record. And again, no one in New Zealand is doing anything like this at the moment. Really unique, and I think in, you know, sort of 50, 60 years time, people will hopefully realise how important what Sarang Bang Records and Jean-Marco is doing for New Zealand music. Okay, so the next one I'd like to talk about is a really awesome 7-inch. This is called Penta, backed with beat instrumental. This is obviously a 45 with the quartet of Murray McNab, Kim Patterson, Gianmarco Liguri, and Andrew Atwell. This is really cool because it reminds me of like a really funky 70s library single or something like that. Even the artwork sort of like references that. Or I get a vibe that reminds me of some sort of like almost like groovy 70s vibe thing to it, but it sounds fantastic. Yeah, I mean, even if you just wanted to sort of get into the label a little bit, check this out. You can listen to it on Bandcamp. It's absolutely killer. I dig this. This is really cool. If I play records out at a bar or whatever, I'm definitely going to be spinning this and putting this in more because it's just so groovy and cool. Yeah, awesome, really cool. Oh, this is so good. And the last one for me is a piece de la resistance. I butchered that, and I with no French accent. This is The Way In Is The Way Out by Murray McNab. Or sorry, I say by Murray McNab, but it's actually the music of Murray McNab, because this is actually, it's a compilation, but it's so much more than that. It's like a tribute to Murray McNab that sadly passed away from cancer in 2013. Murray is played in so many New Zealand bands, so essential, so creative, absolutely pushing the boundaries, and you can hear in this tribute the amount of styles he plays and the amount of bands he pushes, and there's a whole range of stuff on here. There's, for people that are really into, I know a lot of people overseas are really into the collectible Space Case records and Dr. Tree. Chris Cole, if you're watching this, I know you've asked me on a few times to see if I can get hold of any Space Case or Dr. Tree for you. They're really hard to find here, and if I found them, I'd have to seriously, yeah, it'd be a lot of money to get them. So it's awesome to have some tracks by Space Case on here and Dr. Tree. Yeah, I mean, that Dr. Tree is an absolutely legendary jazz funk fusion record, and people around the world go crazy for it. So, you know, there's a whole bunch of weird stuff on here. Even the Frank Zappa track King Kong, there's a cover of that. Salon King's the Door on here as well, with a track from that 2012 CD, Anti-Borneo Magic. Yeah, this is, it's so hard to describe how important this is, because again, it's a tribute and it's a document. There's unreleased stuff on here. I was going to say Saling Kingsador is actually a reference to a old 80s New Zealand ad, if anyone was wondering, for a hair salon. I might actually put the link in the video.
Mike's hair stays in great looking shape, with his Kingsador male wave adding natural body. Philip wanted curls. His Kingsador curly perm gave him all the curls he wanted. Springy and easy to look after. Easy care hair for men too. At Salon Kingsador, separate men's salon. Call in or phone.
It's so bad, yeah, that it was a hair salon for men's hair, terrible 80s hairstyles, and it's called Salon Kingsador, so that's like a nod to the name. But this is not about Salon Kingsador, this is about Murray McNab. This is about the contributions to New Zealand music. It covers his solo stuff, his stuff in other bands. It's done in this really beautiful package in a gatefold. It's a 2 LP set. It's a really nice and thick card. It's wonderful, and it's a document. I mean, if you're interested in especially New Zealand jazz, this is a document. I mean, I could even go as far as saying, as far as I know, it's the definitive statement of New Zealand jazz, and it's all through. Yeah, that's a big call. That's a really big call. But I mean, really, anyone that's into New Zealand jazz and jazz funk and jazz fusion and stuff like that, it is really, it's such a huge call, but it is. And I mean, the stuff that really interests me is the side 3 and 4 of this, where he moves more into ambient electronic stuff and spacey ambient tones and textures. A couple of tracks loosely remind me of like Sun Ra in his most like swampy sort of gluggy sound. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, as a piano player, synthesizer, keyboards, it's really great. The way I think Gianmarco's done a wonderful job of not just slapping together a compilation, but he's really found stuff that's unusual or unreleased, or I don't know. I mean, there's a cover that Ray McNab, Kim Patson did of a Don Cherry tune, which I think is on this record. Actually, I could be wrong. I thought it was on this one, but I've just realised now that it's the track off Here and Now, which I have, just not with me. A Don Cherry track. It's just, yeah, it's so well put together, and the flow of it is great. Because I mean, it's hard to capture something with different styles, but it's done a really good job at combining the tracks, and it's a document. I would say this is. It's brilliant, and it's been connecting with me more and more as of late. So there you go. That's the last one. Hopefully that gives you a bit of a sense. Hopefully the Needledrops helped due to my poor descriptions. That's all. Please check out the label. Yeah, I mean, I'll post a link to the Bandcamp below, and again, you can contact Gianmarco through the Vinyl Champions page if you're interested in that. Yeah, please have a listen. if anything, just have a listen and tell me what you think. Because yeah, I think it's fantastic that there's an active label in New Zealand putting out new stuff and at the same time documenting the past and the importance of New Zealand jazz. Really, it's really cool. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll be back soon with a few more videos. Yeah, that's it. Cheers, guys.